Football is back, and BetOnline is your number one information source for all your sports wagering info with all the up-to-the-minute stats, news, scores, and matchup breakdowns. Hey, everybody, it's Lloyd Spence, and listen, get the latest game odds, spreads, and totals from the NFL and college football at your fingertips with BetOnline's real-time updates on statistics, news, and odds. From week 1 all the way to the college football playoff and Super Bowl, BetOnline gives you access to the best football promotions and contests available anywhere online. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. And remember to use our promo code BLEAV, B-L-E-A-V, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. It's BetOnline. It's where the game starts. Tell them the Noisemaker sent you.
Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Yeah. Popcorn World. Can I make you move now? Yes, I can. So you can get this move in the back of a can. But to make it round the world, and the holes in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. The Popcorn World.
You're now listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Burn Creek Hall of Famer, Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course, Mama Noise's name, Lloyd Spence. And now, it's time for BLEAV in the ACC.
Opts to be an interesting weekend, to say the least. And I'll say this. If ever there was a weekend where statements should be made and will be made, this is that weekend. There are some games this weekend where we're going to find the rubber is going to meet the road for some people, and we're going to find out who is who. And I'm excited to see it all. I'm Lloyd Spence. That's Kendrick Haskins over that side right there. It's weird on the screen, man. It's very weird. And then, of course, the incomparable, world-renowned world traveler now, Coach Charlie Ward is in the building, ladies and gentlemen.
Coach Junior.
Coach Junior is in the building. We affectionately call him Coach Junior. How you doing, Coach?
Well, I'm trying to figure out which games are you talking about.
Well, I mean, outside of our big game this weekend, which is probably the Louisville Notre Dame game, we got Georgia and Kentucky, and if I see one more broadcast saying that they think there's going to be an upset, I'm like, wow, really? Everybody's that down on Georgia all of a sudden? Georgia forgot how to play football, so.
And at home, too.
Yeah, right. I mean, everybody's saying this is Georgia's put up a shut up, and Oklahoma, Texas is going to be a good one. LSU, we got a few games, Charlie. We got a few.
Let's stop putting LSU in that conversation.
Well, listen. well, now for LSU, this might be put up a shut up because 3-2, they know, they lose this one. Ain't no coming back.
They've already shut up for the season.
I agree. Listen, I mean, not gonna get no complaints out of me. I'm just saying. I
in
listen.
their division, they've already shut up for the season.
I listen to the national experience sometimes to see what people are saying. So the words, probably the biggest is OU Texas, of course. Everybody's
Yeah.
And once again, it's actually going to be a good one because they're both undefeated. So, but before we get to the end of that, we got some good stuff going on in the ACC, and we got a big one. Maybe our biggest one. Is this bigger than Florida State Clemson?
No, I'll say no because Florida State Clemson is
That's an actual ACC game. Yeah,
ACC game. Notre Dame is still,
yeah. But I'll say this about the game: many people have doubts about Notre Dame. Nobody knows who Louisville really is. They're just cracking the top 25. Nobody really knows who Louisville is. And this could be Louisville's coming out party, which is interesting because, first of all, nobody thought this would happen this fast, I'm sure.
Well, we knew they'd be 5-0 coming into the game just because of the schedule.
Well, we thought we're not. Well,
yes.
That's kind of true because we once they played their first game, we said, okay, they seem like they're good. But before the season, we were kind of like, we don't know what they are.
We didn't know what they were going to be, but I mean, if everybody's being honest about it, we kind of saw them being 5-0 heading into this game
absolutely.
just because of the schedule. Nothing against Louisville and nothing against their players, and they have played well at times, and they've shown a lot of heart in coming back in two of these games, and both of those games were away from home.
Right.
But like just looking at the schedule, I mean. Brett McMurphy picked them to win every game this year. So before the season started,
which listen, they're making them look pretty good so far,
right? But but they've handled their business, and I don't want to take nothing from them, but I'm not surprised that they're 5-0.
Well, let me ask you a question, and I also want to ask Charlie Ward a question because Charlie's the only one of us who has played in a game like this, and you have played Notre Dame. Is that correct, sir? You have met the Irish on the field.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So
played away from Doak Campbell. So it was on the road.
You was on the road with yours. Okay. What is the
Didn't they grow the grass longer or something or wet the field? Or didn't they did some hijinks before they played you guys?
Did all of the above.
What is the feeling like going into a Notre Dame weekend for a college football player? Because Notre Dame is the national brand, if you will.
They were the Notre Dame back then.
And back then they were Notre Dame back then. So what is it like going into that week?
I mean, there are the outsiders. National outsiders because they're not in a conference and they're playing everyone.
Right.
So you know the brand and what have you. And, they played some quality teams up to this point. That's normally what they do anyway.
Yeah. Because
they're not in a conference, even though they play, I think, 5 ACC games or something. But, they're who they are. I mean, you look at their games. The games are normally competitive, close, regardless if they're home or away. When it's good competition, and they like to run the football. And Sam Hartman, he's made some good throws, but he's also had some challenging moments as well against very good defenses. But one thing that's been consistent all year for the most part has been their defense. You think about their games and, they're giving up like maybe 14 points or something, in those tough games.
Mm-hmm.
And so the defense is something that travels regardless of where you play. And I think that gives them the edge, in this matchup because I know Louisville was on the road against NC State. And they struggled from an offensive standpoint. But their defense has been solid as well. I don't know if it was North Carolina State's offense because they just changed their quarterback. Or was it Louisville's defense that was stout in that game last Friday or Thursday or whatever
Friday night. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see which team, is able to get their game established. Whether it's offensively. I know Louisville struggled to run the football against NC State, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that Notre Dame, they hang their hat on. Their defense is very solid. So it'll be interesting to see if Louisville offensively can get anything going, which I'm sure they will because they'll be playing at home, and they still got that Thrash kid.
Charlie, they NC State blitzed again on U of L. U of L had a hard time handling that pressure. How can they adjust to that? Because Notre Dame seeing that film, Notre Dame already loves the blitz anyway. So how do you adjust the offense for that? Because they obviously struggled with it last week.
Well, I'm sure they'll be looking at where they wrong because every play's set up to win. Sometimes it's the execution, and then sometimes the plays you may need to potentially max protect to be able to get your shots that you want, whatever the case that may look like. But it does help to be able to run the football. Probably throw a few more screens on certain things. Hot throws are something that you can also win when you're talking about blitzing. It means at some point they're one-on-one opportunities, or even if it's zone blitz, you still have to be able to pick up those stunts and those types of things from an offensive line and running back standpoint. So I'm sure they've put their time and energy into what they saw on film to make sure that they don't have those hiccups again this week.
What is the temperament like, Kendrick, in Louisville right now? I'm sure it's close to a fever pitch, if not.
It's wild. I mean, just in the state in general. I mean, this is the first time ever that both Louisville and Kentucky are 5-0 at the same time. It's crazy to think about.
Crazy to me.
It's the first time they're both 5-0.
That's so crazy.
And low key, both fan bases are kind of rooting for the other a little bit.
And I can understand that because it's listen, in these NIL times that we live in, any attraction that you can get to a state that is a basketball state through and through is good attention. So the fact that good football is being played in the state of Kentucky right now is a win for everybody, and it makes it shines a beautiful light on everything that's going on in Kentucky, right down to Western and Murray and everybody else. So
yeah, if they were both to pull this off this weekend, I mean, the state will go crazy. But centrally located here in Louisville with it's about 50-50, but with the Louisville fans around here, they're excited. But nobody's like taking it for granted. Nobody's like, oh, we're gonna win. I'm not really seeing that. I'm seeing a lot of healthy respect for Notre Dame. But a lot of people do remember the last time Sam Hartman played at Cardinal Stadium, which was a disaster for Sam Hartman last year. And so there is a little quiet confidence in that. And Charlie, I wanted to come back and ask you that too. When you're playing a team the next year after they thoroughly dominated you, I think Wake Forest had 6 turnovers in that game.
It was bad.
Yeah, because very bad. Yeah, because the defense is drawing a lot of positivity off of that. If you're Sam Hartman, how much are you like, okay, I want to get back at this defense?
I'm sure there's some competitive juices there. Want to not repeat what happened the year before. And he's a year older, and he's in a different system. And so they're not putting it all on him. And they're going to ride their run game, then play action off of that. So he's not the real focal point. He's the guy that is just a part of a team now. I think when he was there at Wake Forest, he was more of a focal point where they gave him multiple opportunities to throw 6 interceptions. Different.
That's
So,
hilarious.
I mean, it's just, I think he's in a different space
Yeah.
now, and I mean, if anything, he's carrying a grudge or carrying that competitive. I want to get him back more than anything else.
Well, he might be carrying a grudge, but he's still Sam Hartman. And I'm gonna tell you something. These last 2 weeks have not been kind to him. And I know, they started the season on fire in their first 4 games, and they were putting up massive numbers, 40 plus, whatever. But now that he's playing ranked competition and tougher defenses and stuff, it has been a struggle offensively for him. You don't have to look any further than last week's game where he went 15 of 30 and had 222 yards total. And Duke, and listen, we've said, and by the way, went out there again, as I tend to do on this show, and picked Duke, and again was almost right. Like Duke should have won that game. Let's be clear. Duke should have won that game.
Also, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
That's not true. That's not true. Because I've listened to
it doesn't. It's true in these standings.
Hold on. I listened to that talk about Zach Wilson for 2 weeks straight about how much progress he made. So clearly, almost counts for something.
Not in them playoff standings.
Not in the playoff standings. But I'm telling you, I think it is a sign of things to come. I think Sam is having a hard time. Well, I don't know if he's having a hard time as much as he's just being who he is. Like
right.
In his career, this is who he is.
That's who he is.
Yeah. I'm sitting there looking at that score. They won the game.
They won the game.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
But not because of Sam Hartman.
He was a big part of it with that big run down there at the end of the game. So yeah, you gotta give Sam Hartman his props. He played well when he counted.
All right. But I agree with you also that Louisville, for whatever reasons, struggled. And I don't know if it was like you said, the quarterback switch.
Well, they didn't switch.
By the way, I think they're making another quarterback switch, right?
Who?
U of L.
Huh?
Not U of L. NC State. They're switching to. Is Brennan out?
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, he's out.
They're going back to the guy that was there last year. I'm not sure.
The guy that was there last year would have. Well, they don't have him listed here, but yes, Brennan is out. Going forward,
they just making a replacement, or is he injured?
They're making a replacement.
Well, in his spirit, he's injured, and so they decided to move on. But
if only there was a show called BLEAV in the ACC who called this in like July.
I mean,
think about all of them. I mean, not all of them, but both of those guys, Brandon Armstrong and Phil Yurkovich.
Phil's out too, isn't he? Isn't Phil out?
Probably. If not, no, I think he's still in.
Okay, I thought I saw something where Phil was out too.
If they taking him out, then they may feel good about the guy behind him, but I don't think they feel good about the guy behind him.
Well, let's go through the rest of them real quick while we're here. Pittsburgh and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech got the win.
That was not shocking, but it was shocking because Virginia Tech lost to Marshall the week before.
Right.
And I think playing at home does help, especially in Blacksburg. I was actually there in that area. And there are quite a few people that were at the game. So, that does play a big part. And they put up 38 points.
That's the shocking part.
But Pitt is bad.
Yeah.
But
that's putting it mildly.
There was no way for them to be good if they thought the off-season move to fix all their problems was to bring in Phil Yurkovich. Like, I don't understand why they thought that was going to solve their problems. But then again, like you said, you gotta think if Phil Yurkovich is the answer, then the problem must be really big.
Yurkovich was available. That's what that was.
He was available.
He was their best option they can find. They probably didn't get the quarterback or didn't trust the quarterbacks they have on the roster or didn't get the quarterback they wanted through recruiting. So they went out and they got their best possible option, and it was Yurk.
So Phil's the stopgap until the guys get better. Clemson, Syracuse.
For the second straight year, somebody got swallowed up in the Syracuse.
I knew better. Let me just say this. I
Two
knew
years
better.
in a row.
I knew better. I knew better. And I'm saying, I've seen this movie already. And once again,
what's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing. Expecting a different result. I agree. But I guess I thought for sure, surely Dino has learned some things from his years of futility, and he's ready now. He's ready for this big moment.
He could be ready all he wants. He still doesn't have the horses to run with Clemson. That's all it is.
Man, that game was bad too. It was bad. For three quarters,
coming off a loss too. Come on.
I mean, the first quarter was good. It was, it was 14-7, but after that, it got bad. Golly, they couldn't move the ball at all. I was like, Dino, brother, my brother. So, and to me, it makes it worse because I'm not a K Klubnik guy, as you guys are well aware of. And to see K Klubnik looking like he is really out there just killing the game, I'm like, Dino, this is bad, bro.
He's the new Sam Howell for you.
He is the new Sam. That is a great comparison. He is the new Sam Howell. And shout out to Sam Howell, who is proving me right. I appreciate you.
No. Washington's offensive line is proving you right.
Tomato.
Ooh, how bad is that game tonight? Oof.
Yeah. Oh. About as bad as the game Monday. Let me just say that. So let me be very clear. My heart still bleeds for you, Virginia. That's all I can say. My heart still bleeds for you. I don't know what else they can do. And that's the thing you can say. They are fighting in every game. They're giving it everything they got. But much like you said about Pitt, Charlie, we may have to just get to the place where we say, Virginia, they're just not good. Something is wrong.
They're in these games. I mean,
they're in them.
And sometimes they even win at the end, except for the final score.
Right.
So I just think it's a matter of time. They got to find the right team.
And they're just dealing with so much.
Yeah, it's a tough deal. But
is this year just a wash as administration? Do you look at this year and you just say,
I hope so.
Just get through it, coach, and we'll give you a reset next year? You don't fire the guy, right?
No, I mean, Virginia's not going to do that. But I just think you have to look at the team. These games they're losing, I mean, they're competitive games for them. Minus some of the earlier games, but they've been losing by 3 points, 7 points. There've been close games. So when you start talking about looking at it, that's why I'm just a big believer in looking at the progress of the situation as opposed to the outcome, because a lot of times it be skewed to what actually transpired.
I agree.
If you don't win any games and you lost, say 5 or 6 games by one score, that's a positive, because there's a few things within those games that could have changed the game. Now they're blown out consistently and they're not competing, and that's something totally different. But they're competing in these games, and I just think it's a matter of time. They just have to weigh it out.
Right.
Let me ask
I
you a
mean,
question.
that's something that Charlie's been consistent with this whole time. He's like,
Yeah.
it'd be different if they're getting blown out every game, but obviously the team's competitive, the team's fighting for the coach. So obviously the coach's message is landing. They're just not getting over that hump. So I don't think firing him should be an option. But I mean, we've seen crazier things in the past, but hopefully the administration and Virginia's administration doesn't seem like the type that's going to fire a coach. So it feels like they will grant him at least another year because of the circumstances.
I agree. Let me say this though, and I'm gonna ask the difficult question that I know the administration is also going to ask, and I'm gonna use what I just got notification in breaking news about here just a minute ago. Morgan State has just canceled their homecoming game versus Stony Brook in wake of the on-campus shooting that took place yesterday. Sometimes in circumstances like this, when there's tremendous tragedy, it is, I don't want to say necessary, but it is, but I don't have a better word than necessary, so I may have to go with necessary. Critical, I'll say it that way, to shift the culture completely, because the event happened under this watch, and this watch is too difficult to get past with the current circumstances, and you give the opportunity to a coach to try to change the culture of the moment, but it's too difficult for 18, 19, 20-year-olds to get past it. So sometimes you have to hit the reset button. Maybe I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if I'm not sure I believe that, but maybe I do believe that.
But and again, like going back to what Charlie always says, they're competing. They're competitive.
They are competing, and
so I don't. If they were getting drilled every week, then I could probably consider it. Even though I still think he should get another year because of the circumstances. But obviously, they're managing it, and they're fighting for this coach, and so I just can't see it.
But do you want them fighting for the coach, or do you want them playing football? I'm asking difficult questions.
Well, they're playing football. They're fighting for their coach by playing football.
What I'm asking though, right? You understand what I'm asking though, right, Charlie? Like, I get that you're fighting for the coach and the thing that we went through and we're bonded together. I get all of that. But at what point is it just about the game and nothing else? Is the question.
Well, you can't separate them all. I mean, you think about families that have lost loved ones, and to put it in real time, there's some mourning that has to go on, but you still have to continue to live your day. Live your life from day to day. And so there are challenging times when you've lost a loved one that's close to, and you continue to wake up each morning and live for, that moment to be able to, represent whoever it is that you've lost. But it's a challenge when you have that. And so we can't remove that aspect from this situation or any situation where there's, mourning. But when we start talking about the way they're competing for some, they're in games, they're winning games. They're just not being able to finish the games right now. And, playing young quarterback like they had to do. They brought in a gentleman from, I think it might have been a Division II school, to play the quarterback position. He ended up getting injured, and they bring in this true freshman, and he's just having freshman moments. And mainly at the end of the game, which is, abnormal. So I don't think, their administration, and especially also it's tough to get in, get transfers in. You have to be strategic about that. As well, because of the academic standards. Duke has managed that part of it and have some success here, and I'm sure Virginia and all those other schools that are very similar academically are looking at how Duke has been able to do it. And so I just think it's they need to give them some time, which I do believe they will. And Coach Elliott, he just like any other coach. He's frustrated he's not getting results, but he's also still coaching.
And to your point, Charlie, I think it's a powerful point you made. How do you recruit in the midst of that? How do you go into somebody's living room and say, hey, this is a great environment for your child to come to? Well, it wasn't last year, right? You know what I mean? I mean, that's the reality. And so you got to try to figure out how to get a freshman recruit or a transfer to your spot under some horrific circumstances. So listen, again, my heart is with Virginia. I'm 1,000%. I'm sure you guys are the same way. 1,000% behind that program to turn it around, to get the wins. But it is hard right now. It is very, very hard. Just like it is at Georgia Tech, but for very, very different reasons. I don't know what. Listen, Georgia Tech messed everybody up this week. We just knew this was our one gimme of the week. And then they went out and laid a big old gigantic egg.
They Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's gonna Georgia Tech.
So they scored 27 points.
Which should be enough, Charlie. What you think? You would think, well, that should be enough to
at home.
State at home. Haynes King put up 348.
I tell you,
two interceptions as well.
The three hardest teams that we have to pick every week are Georgia Tech, Wake Forest.
Oh my God,
and Virginia Tech. Every week.
I wouldn't even call them a box of chocolates. They're like, I don't even know what to call them. I don't know. I'm almost ready to give a Georgia Tech pass to every week because you just don't know. It's a pick 'em. It's an automatic pick 'em. So anyway.
Virginia Tech's the same way.
Yeah.
Wake Forest is the same way this year.
Same thing. The pick out of our pick 3 games, the games that we had to pick from individually. Shout out to Oregon State. And they got a quarterback. I'm trying to remember his name.
Oh Lord.
That's doing quite well actually this season. What is that guy's name?
It's Hit the Button. That's his name.
I haven't said his name. DJ Uiagalele.
And that was a humble flex.
I root. Let me tell you something. I root for that kid because I feel like he wasn't. You
root for that kid just so you can keep saying his name.
No, it's not just that. I also feel like there was some shenanigans. He should still be a Clemson, in my humble opinion.
Why haven't you learned the Notre Dame's running back's name? Because that could be a new flex for you.
I'll learn it this weekend. What is it? Audric Estime? Is that it?
Yes.
Is it Audric Estime?
Yes.
There you go.
That could be a new flex.
That's not as difficult as Uiagalele. Come on.
But you got to think the Pac-2. The Pac-2's about to run the Pac-12.
The Pac-2 is killing it right now.
I love it.
Shout out to the Pac-2.
I love it. It's nothing but chaos. I love it.
You know what the best irony would be is if one of the Pac-2 were to run the table. That would be just.
Washington State has a chance.
Yeah.
So I think the shocker of one of the biggest shockers of the weekend was this game, and honestly, not for the reasons that people have been quoting. Like everybody's been saying, I'm shocked that Florida lost to UK. That part didn't shock me. Like I felt like UK is a decent team this year, and they could beat Florida. But for me, it was the way that UK wins the game that shocks me.
Here's the rushing for 300 yards.
Charlie, here's the number that you got to hear. Our good friend Devin Leary, friend of the pod, 9 of 19 for 80 yards. That's the number he put up Saturday.
He had a ton of drops in that game, though. There were a ton of UK drops.
Yeah, there was 10 of them. There were 10 drops, actually, or something, or missed cues. I'll say it that way. But man, when a team shows you that they're going to run on you, and are you crazy?
Apparently, I'm under attack.
That's all we need to know. All right.
I've got painters in the house. So.
Okay. Apparently, they want to be done quickly. So. But when a team shows you that they're one-dimensional, but you can't stop their one dimension, that's bully ball to me. They bully
the funniest part, because I covered that game that day.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Davis had run for 200 yards in the first half.
Yeah.
And Florida's defensive linemen were getting in his face after the game. I mean, towards the end of the half, I'm like, what could you possibly have to say? What are you talking about?
I know exactly what they had to say. Stop, please. Can you stop doing it?
It hurts.
We're going to get you. That's what they were saying. We're going to get you.
Clearly that wasn't true. Clearly that wasn't true because he rushed for another 89 yards in the second half. So that was a bad game for Florida. That was a bad game, bad look, the whole nine. I don't know what to think about Arkansas at this point. They are what they are. I pretty much have given up on their coach because he's a good guy and he's trying with all of his heart and mind, but he just can't win big games. I mean, he has become the new Brian Kelly at this point. Like, he just can't win big games. And speaking of Brian Kelly, our other game, LSU and Ole Miss, if you score 49 points, you should win that.
True.
You should win that.
Not against Ole Miss. I mean, known for those types of games.
Yeah, I would love to see Ole Miss and Louisville play once Jeff Brom gets his full system in there. Brom against Lane Kiffin. I mean, it's going to look like an Arena League game. You're going to see everything.
Absolutely.
That was one of the things that stood out to me about that Louisville game. They ran a play at one point where they handed it off. They handed it off to the end around, who flipped it back to Plummer.
I saw that.
And he's looking deep. He didn't have anything, and he had a check down. And the check down went for like 25, 30 yards. I've never seen a check down on that type of play, but he had it, and I think the check down was thrash, if I remember.
It was thrash.
So you're running a trick play with your best player as the check down. That's hilarious.
Technically, it was a broken play because he was trying to go long.
Right.
He couldn't. And then Thrash was like, don't worry about it. He's like, it'll be fine.
There can't be a coaching staff that has more fun drawing up plays than the Broms, because they're all family anyway. And so they're just sitting there coming up with stuff.
I feel like they prepare in the backyard, one of their backyards, though. Like, if it doesn't feel like this is. And then I guess the other game that you could have selected, this was actually a lot better than people thought it was going to be, USC Colorado. And it definitely left you with a lot of what ifs. Because Prime went in grossly under-talented in this game and still made it a game. Speaking of that, Charlie, not to disclose your location, but are you're in a general man? Are you going to stop by and see? You're not far from your old buddy. I'm really concerned with this right now. I'm like in danger.
I won't be able to join the group.
Say it again, Charlie.
I said I won't be able to join the group in Colorado.
Okay.
I have things that I'm doing, but I hadn't gotten the opportunity to go and be a part of the group, as everyone is flocking to Boulder to see what's going on.
Because you could have seen Colorado and Joel Embiid all at the same time.
But he's out there now?
Yeah, the whole team's over there. They're at Colorado State. I don't know how far Colorado State is from Colorado.
No. Colorado State is in a different part of Colorado.
Okay, so they're not close. Okay, all right. Okay. All right, well, that left us with some interesting records this week. I may have to pull back from the risk factor for a little while just to play catch up. I'm getting behind. I'm trying to get behind a little bit. I may have to
quit picking Syracuse. That'll help.
And I know better. That's the part that's frustrating to me. I knew better. I was trying to get better, brother. Didn't work out. go Target. Stop you guys. Just go Target. All right. Week 6 games are here with us. Some easy ones, I would think these are some easy ones. We'll see. Boston College and Army.
That's not easy at all.
Yeah, especially on the road.
And isn't Army decent this year, if I remember correctly?
They've been competitive. They haven't won. I know they play off, but most of them are on the road. So I'm not sure if Boston College would. I'm going Boston College if their quarterback's playing
Castellanos.
This one's at Army.
Correct.
So, to your point, Charlie, they get to have this one at home.
I'm kind of leaning towards Army, to be honest with you.
Well, you got to lead, so you can take some risk.
Don't try to employ your thinking on me.
Follow his heart is what I'm trying to get you to do. Follow your heart.
No, you try to get me to lose a game. You catch up.
That may.
You know what, though? I'm going to go with Army.
Oh,
I'm not sure Boston College can travel after their last road game.
Listen,
After they did put up 28.
That may not be a bad pick. Now, prior to about a week or two ago, I would have picked Virginia for this game for sure because I'm thinking, well, yeah. But the problem is Virginia's only William and Mary's only lost one game. William and Mary's only lost one game, and that was to Elon, and that was 14-6.
I'm going Virginia.
I'm going Virginia on that.
That's the time, but they've been winning and losing games at the end. Yeah, I think it's time for them to put it all together and win the game.
Okay. And I'm going for Virginia for one reason and one reason only: to stand in solidarity. I think that might be the missing ingredient for them winning the game because we've never picked them to win a game this year.
Well, you can't give me William and Mary's only loss as Elon and expect me to be bowled over.
Man, we're laughing now. Hey, we're all laughing now. But
not exactly saying their one losses to Florida State.
I'm just saying we're all laughing now, and then all of a sudden we come back next week and Virginia's down again. So Marshall and NC State, right? Marshall and NC State. I gotta go Marshall, right? That's what I've been taught by this band of brothers.
NC State's defense is pretty good. I think NC State will win that game at home.
Yeah, they should win the game at home. So I'm going NC State.
Oh boy!
If the quarterback change, they'll be able to put up more points offensively because their defense is solid, especially at home.
Yep.
I'm going Marshall because Marshall just beat Old Dominion.
We are Marshall. Okay.
We are Marshall. I'm going Marshall.
Well, that's a decision.
It's a decision. Going Marshall. I think we're all solid on this one.
Yeah.
Especially with as much time as they've had to prepare. Florida State should do very well. Now, Charlie, will you be concerned if they don't blow out Virginia Tech?
No. I mean, at this point, you want to win games, but the games that I say struggle, but they played solid teams. Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, LSU being another. But I just think they'll perform at a high level. They've been off and got guys back that were injured. Yeah. So it should be, a good game, but hopefully we can, dominate.
Okay. Speaking of Clemson, they play Wake Forest this week at home. This is one of those weeks where the box of chocolates probably doesn't matter much. So easy should be a good one, easy one for Clemson. I would suspect.
This won't be one of those 4 losses that you predicted.
No, this is not one of the 4 losses that I predicted.
Even though you predicted a loss last week.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, I did, but I didn't include this in the 4 losses. I just thought Syracuse was ready. I just was wrong about that. Real wrong. I know better. That's the part that makes me so mad. I know better. Okay. Georgia Tech, Miami.
Miami.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech won't get me any more this year. I will gladly take that L. And then the big one, Notre Dame and Louisville. Who you guys going with?
I'm gonna go with Notre Dame.
Okay.
They've been able to play well at home, on the road. They've been consistent all year. Louisville's been the same, as well in a lot of ways. But the last game kind of showed some stuff. And they struggled immensely against their defense. And Notre Dame's defense is solid. So I think Notre Dame's played in some tougher games, and mentally, physically, they'll probably end up pulling this game out. It'll be a good game, though.
Okay. All right. Kendrick, what are you doing on this one?
I'm not gonna lie. I've been waffling back and forth because, yes, Notre Dame has played the tougher competition. They're used to these huge games like this. They play these literally every week. This is their 3rd primetime game in a row, so they're used to it. But just knowing the history of whenever Louisville has these coming out games like this at home, they rise up. I mean, the last one was the Lamar Jackson destruction of Charlie Seminoles. But I think I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with the safe pick and pick Notre Dame.
Take some risk in your life, man. Goodness gracious.
Especially in 3rd place.
I'm always gonna take the same pick. What kind of life is that?
It's called just moving the chains. Just keep moving the chains.
So you're going Notre Dame.
I'm going Notre Dame. This is just another handoff up the middle, get me 4 yards, get me to 2nd and 6.
Well, listen, I will stand alone in my Louisville pick but not just because I'm doing it to get ahead of you guys, but I'm also thinking I think Louisville last week fell into the quintessential we're looking ahead. And I think that's what it almost cost them. Quite honestly, it almost cost them. Because I think they are better than NC State by far. But they just, you got this massive game where the world's going to be watching, staring you in the face, and you're at 19 years old. Sometimes it's hard to stay focused. So
but the quarterback's not 19.
Oh well, no. None of these are 19, but
there's some factors in that statement you just made. I mean, you made it sound like, NC State wasn't worthy of the way they played, and Louisville was looking ahead, but they only scored, 10 points? Or 13?
NC State. I mean, Louisville won 13-10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure if that's looking ahead or if they're just some things that they need to work out.
It could be both. Both things could be true.
The thing is, they didn't run the football well, and that was cause for concern.
Yeah.
And then offensively, they weren't able to put up any points, which is another cause for concern. If you're gonna struggle, somebody got to score.
Yeah.
But they weren't able to do it. That's maybe they just at a point where I don't know if they were looking ahead or they just had a bad game. Let's just say that.
I look at it more because they end of the day, they got dominated up front on the offensive line. I don't think that's necessarily looking ahead. You just got beat. And NC State had a great scheme to get pressure on Plummer, and Plummer did not handle the pressure well. Jack Plummer is like 24 years old. He's seen a lot of college football. He's not looking ahead. He just had a bad game, and a lot of that was because of NC State's defense and the pressure they was able to get.
Okay, well, we'll see. We will definitely see.
And and Louisville's defense. I mean, Jack Plummer turned the ball over 2 possessions in a row.
Yeah,
and the defense held up.
Yeah.
Defense
Well, the one thing that has, I think, held up more than the offense is the defense. The defense has played well, like all season long. I think they have. All right, what game you picking? Listen, no easy ones. There's one potentially easy one. We got Kentucky, Georgia. We got Oklahoma, Texas, and then we've got Alabama, Texas A&M.
I'm gonna go with Kentucky, Georgia.
Okay.
Because my man was 9 for 19. And they were one-dimensional. I don't see. I think they may have some success because Georgia's defense, from what I've seen, hasn't been as stout as they've had in the past. So there's some cause for concern there. But they're not giving up a whole lot of points either. And so if you're not able to pass, especially on the road, if you're not able to pass the football, whether it's pass and catch, whatever the case may be, you're going to struggle. So I'll go with Georgia at home.
Okay. All right. Kentucky, Georgia. You got Oklahoma, Texas, or Alabama, Texas A&M. Kendrick, what you doing?
Just Charlie went Kentucky, Georgia. I'll go Alabama, Texas A&M.
Okay.
Oh, why isn't Texas A&M ranked?
They got thrashed by Miami, and then
that Miami game is still hanging around their neck like an albatross right now.
Mm-hmm. Nice use of words there.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, brother.
You think I caught that?
All right.
What's Texas A&M's record? I don't even know their record.
They just have the one loss.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a bad loss, though.
And people hate Jimbo Fisher. That's part of it, too.
Well,
you have the combo of him and Bobby.
I was going to say they hate Jimbo Fisher and Bobby Petrino. So it's like there's no love lost with either one of those brothers. So
I'm going to go Alabama with that game. I think Alabama's defense will show up. The quarterback is still trying to get some consistency at quarterback, but I think the Alabama defense will prevail in this one.
Okay. You know what? Man. I guess I'll take the Red River rivalry. I don't.
That's the hardest one. That's the one I'll stay away from. That was hard. Even though I really like Texas.
The thing is, Oklahoma's defense has gotten much, much, much better.
Well, they was going to.
And right, it was always going to. I agree. And Brent Venables is got those boys humming, and they're deep. They are deep. I just gotta believe. I think I believe in Texas, though. I think I believe that they are what they say they are. And I'm gonna go with Alabama West in Texas. And believe that they are.
Is that next year when this becomes a conference game? Is this next year when this becomes an SEC game?
This is an SEC game. This is a pre-SEC game this year. It'll be an SEC game next year.
That's awesome.
So there you go. All right, Charlie. Shout outs. Because I know you gotta dip out. Yeah.
Shout out to my high school alma mater. They're Thomas County Central, the football team, they're number 1 in the state. They're 6-0, playing good quality football. This is the second year that they've gone, 6-0. Last year they went 12-1. I think they ended up losing in the semifinals of the state. And this year they're on par to do the same thing. So shout out to Coach Justin Rogers and his team for the work that they're putting in, and they got some Division I players that does help.
That helps a lot, Charlie.
It makes the job a little bit easier.
Charlie, we know you got a dip, so have fun, my brother. We appreciate you as always. Thank you for coming through with your brothers this morning.
I appreciate you guys.
All right.
See you, Charlie.
See you.
Hilarious. Had he had a few more seconds, I'm sure we would have gotten us Lady Seminoles.
This is not, some kind of Seminoles.
We got a Seminoles shout out. So, Kitty, who you shouting out this week?
I'm going to shout out my man Peyton Siva. He was going to try to join us this week. We're hoping to have him on next week. He just opened a Shoot 360 business. The place is awesome. I went over there and visited with it last week. And if you want to improve your basketball game from a guard, and really it's great for guards. Shooting, you work on shooting, you work on passing. And to be honest with you, it's kind of like if you're going there, you can go there recreationally. You don't have to necessarily be going there to train. It can be, you can treat it like a top golf for basketball. I mean, it's kind of what it is. You work on your jump shot, you work on passing. He's got this passing thing where it's a screen. It's like a TV screen. And you literally throw the ball at it, and you can throw it as hard as you want to, and you're trying to hit this, specific targets on it. When he first told me to throw the ball at the screen, I'm like, I ain't gonna break it. And he's like, no, you're not gonna break it. And so, shout out to him because he's since Peyton is retired to Louisville and made Louisville his home. He has been in this community. He's awesome. Everywhere. He's become a huge part of the community. He just wants to help out in this community. So, big shout out to my guy Peyton, and he picks on me a lot. And he'll probably do that a lot next week. but hopefully we can get him on next week.
And by the way, I'm sure you weren't expecting this morning, but
And that was a humble flex.
because he's your guy, not because he's your guy. It had nothing to do with it. It's because you were on Instagram putting up buckets, and you were talking about, I haven't shot in years. And I'm like,
I hadn't shot in years.
It looked good though.
Yeah, I know you did.
So I'm humble flexing. I'm looking for a good humble flex because you look good. Your jumper looked good. It was wet. I was like, look at Kevin. Okay.
I haven't not played basketball competitively in at least 10 years.
So that's why I gave you the humble flex.
Maybe 8 years. Maybe 8 years. But yeah.
That humble flex was the equivalent of a WWE. You still got it. There you go. That's all it was. That was a good one. I too have a humble flex this morning, and I thought I pulled it over into this particular thing. I did not, so let me go to another drop. But shout out to my Texas Rangers, who are giving me something to cheer about in the fall, because my Lord knows my Giants aren't. But shout out to them dominating the Rays. And by the way, I feel bad for the Tampa Bay Rays. Because that was not the game, but just the support in that community. It might be time to move on from baseball. It ain't working in Tampa Bay.
Then they just get approved to build a new stadium. And I'm like,
they did, but they probably
had 19,000 people show up for a playoff game. What is building a stadium?
I was gonna say, it's
that team here. We need a major league team. Move that team here. We'll build them a stadium.
They need to move on. It's not working.
I mean, they can play at Louisville Slugger Field for now. I mean, it seats more than 19, and they're used to small crowds anyway, so the difference is made until they build a new stadium.
How you have 39,000 people show up for 2 days of playoff baseball? That's crazy.
For a team that's been successful.
They had a phenomenal year. They almost won the division.
Right. And they've been right there for the last 3 or 4 years.
They've been great, and nobody comes to watch them play.
The Marlins are the same way. It's like
I feel bad. I kind of felt bad for them in that regard because I'm like, it shouldn't be this way, but we'll take the win though because
right. Hey, it ain't your problem.
It ain't my problem. We whooped that tail yesterday. So shout out to my Rangers. They did an outstanding job. All right, that's it. We're done. We hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sure you did. And we'll be back next week. Hopefully we'll have a special guest. And but even if we don't, we're gonna have a good time. That's what we do here on Believe in the ACC. So that's Kendrick Haskins. Charlie Ward just left us, but he sends his regards. I feel obligated to say go Seminoles just because
Seminoles.
That's what he would do if he were here. So, and we'll see you guys next week. You've been listening to Believe in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard.